I'm your host, Ash Paulson, and am, of course, joined today by my good friends and GVG co-founders, Steve Bowling and Derek Bittner, as well as our superstar art director, Daniel Alba. How's it going, everybody?
It's been
been a
interesting.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
Oh,
we
yeah.
always say that. We always say it's been a week. It's Friday, and I'm very happy for that. It has been quite a week for me as well. And sorry for the weird start, everybody. Derek, it's so weird. I never saw a thumbs up. I think maybe your cam feed delayed for me for some reason, but
Maybe.
that's okay. So it's obviously been a pretty hectic week for everybody. Why is that? How's everyone doing? Let's take stock of everyone's life situation. How y'all doing?
Well, I feel like we need to find out how's your back, Steve, because that's why we weren't able to do it last week because
that's very
you
important.
threw out your
Right.
back.
Yeah. Having kids sucks, man. I spent a good chunk of time laid out because my I made the mistake of playing with my children at the park, which apparently, as you approach my age, is not a thing you should do anymore. So I don't know precisely what I did, but I know how it felt, and that was pretty bad. So I ended up laying on the floor for several hours last Friday, and eventually, for those of you that don't know, I'm currently broadcasting from my sister's house over in Washington because I had also committed that I would spend the following week painting my mom's house. So fortunately, not doing GVGcast bought me the time I needed to just go to bed super early and rest. And I still was pretty sore on the flight over, but by about, I would say, Monday this week, I was feeling okay. Like, everything's back
Good.
where it belongs, I suppose. So yeah, I'm doing okay. Thanks everyone for your concern, but I live. All my vertebrae are still intact, I think.
Nice.
And I'm ready to be upright and go home. I'm going home tomorrow, thankfully.
And no, dude, when you told me, my heart just went out to you because I think we've all been there. Obviously, I don't have kids, but I've done the thing where I sleep the wrong way or something, and I'll wake up and I'm doing the Batman Begins turn all day or all week because I can't move my neck. I got to move my whole body, and it's just the most painful thing. So I'm glad you're feeling better, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and please be
Yeah.
careful on the way home. Like, I swear to God.
Please don't have any more accidents, man.
I know. I got my finger regenerated. My back is working. I think I'm whole again.
Yeah. So I've actually been dreading this because I have something really embarrassing to admit to you all, and
no.
I'm just going to get it out there to everybody. I've been kind of putting up a front, right? I have to be honest. Everyone knows me as like the biggest Mega Man fan. I love Mega Man. I always talk about how much I love Mega Man.
Oh no.
Oh, boy.
But for years now, I've kind of like the feeling's been creeping into the back of my mind that maybe the series was never really that good to begin with, and I didn't want to admit that I feel that way because of what
I mean,
I'm known
there's
for.
nothing
I'm
wrong
known
with
for
having
Mega
the
Man.
correct opinion.
And so, I think I have to be honest. No, I think you're right, Derek. I have to be honest. You're right, man. Mega Man, it's just I've lost my love. Maybe it's me. It's not him, it's me. But I'm just not feeling it anymore. And so I wanted to get that out there, let everyone know that I'm not really the Mega Man fan I've been saying I've been for the past several years. And this is totally April Fools. You guys know I'm not being serious, right?
I was
none of you
I was
believe.
testing your mettle
What?
with that comment. I was like, how can I break
Uh-huh.
him? Can I break
No,
him?
I had to keep going. I assume nobody really believed me, right?
No, not for a
No.
second.
Okay, cool.
That'd be like me
Figured
saying
not.
I don't like chicken. I mean, come on, man.
Right, exactly.
There are certain
no.
universal truths.
We didn't do anything official for April Fools this year, so I wanted to just do something a little fun for the GVG cast and try to fool some people. But it looks like I got a few people in our Patreon live audience chat, so I'm glad I at least got a few of you. But speaking of Mega Man, when we start talking about what we've been playing lately, Steve, I think you actually did finally play one of the worst Mega Man games ever made, and I'm very curious to talk about your experience with that. But before that, we do have a sponsor for today's episode, The Game Orb. The Game Orb is a YouTube channel that brings commentary and gameplay footage from the Nintendo Switch and Xbox Series X gaming systems. While games like Splatoon 2, Sonic Colors Ultimate, and Super Mario 64 can be seen on the channel, along with others, The Game Orb will also now be adding Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu to the gaming collection. So be sure to subscribe to the Game Warp at the link in the description, and I'm going to post it right here in our YouTube chat as well.
So while
but as I do that, what have you guys been playing? What are we up to?
Oh, it's been nothing but Kirby. that's been my thing. It's been nonstop Kirby. I actually beat the main campaign today. I got to dive into the post game, but I should have the review ready to go for next week. So I'm feeling pretty confident about that. Otherwise, awesome. there is a bit of news I wanted to say that I wanted to give a big thank you to one of our community members. I didn't get a chance to do it last week because Steve wasn't here, and the reason we're late is because we were quickly getting me good to go while Steve was away to run the show again. So I have all the assets and whatnot. And there's a lot of, in order to get the visual quality up there, we have a lot of technical things that we're doing now, and that is definitely makes the setup a little bit more screwy. It should be fine after this point, but setup takes a little bit. So thanks for bearing with us for that. But I want to give a special shout out to Becca's Live, who was kind enough to let Ash borrow her Xbox Series S so he could try out Forza and Psychonauts and just a little bit of everything on the Xbox and all that. And she reached out to him asking if I would want to borrow it for the same reason. I'm like, I don't know how free I am. I don't know about that. And then she surprises both of us, I think, or especially me. She's just giving me the Xbox Series S. Straight up. That's intensely kind of her. I did not expect it whatsoever. It'll be the first ever Xbox system I've ever owned, and it is extremely, extremely kind of her. Funny enough, I think she did it on her birthday or the day before her birthday when she told me this. So it's like, she doesn't know how birthdays work, but I appreciate it anyway. It's really, really nice of them. And hey, news like there. I think I've seen some rumors about the Game Pass getting expanded a bit. I think I saw that on Kotaku.
Yes.
Yeah, that just broke today, actually. Yeah.
Which, hey, great timing. We can all get on a family plan for this.
Right. That is perfect.
Xbox, the Game Pass.
And you are so right, though, Derek. Becca is just such an incredibly kind, generous, giving person. And thank you. Becca, on Derek's behalf as well. It's great that he's going to be able to play these games, and that is so super cool of you. And that's just awesome. Like you, Derek, I have been playing nothing but Kirby. I have set aside Horizon Forbidden West temporarily because it's Kirby, man, and I want to be able to participate in our spoiler discussions. By the way, there will be no spoilers here on GVGcast. Don't worry about that. We know a lot of you haven't finished it yet. And I'm exactly in the same place where you are. I finished the credits, or I got to the end credits, but I haven't done the post game yet. Mm-hmm. And I've heard crazy things. So I'm really excited, but I'm exactly where you are. And I, so far, have just loved the game. It definitely a top 5 Kirby game for me, maybe top 3. We'll see how I feel after the post game, but it's so good. And the soundtrack, man. The soundtrack is redonkulous. It is so good. God, I'm just having a great time with it. Daniel, I assume you're also playing Kirby.
I have joined the 100% club for Kirby in the Forgotten Land this week. So I finally got off of that. And I've been playing, aside from Kirby, I've been getting back into finally playing more of Horizon Forbidden West because it's a long game. And I'm trying to work my way through that while I can, whenever I have any free time. There's that game, playing games like I'm trying to touch everything around me right now. Like Tunic is another game that I'm trying to work my way through at the same time, because that's a fantastic sounding, feeling great, just a great game all around. And other than that, like Revised Arcade, we've been playing games on there. I actually just realized this week I realized it was our 6-month anniversary for Revised Arcade.
God,
we've been going for half a year already.
We've been going for half a year.
That happened really quick.
Yeah, at least as far as subscriptions go, because we got our first 6-month subscribers on there. I was like, wow, Brandon, we've been doing this for a long time already. Time just flies.
I had so much fun joining you guys with She Says to play F-Zero X and Mario Kart 8. Or 8 Deluxe. That was such a fun episode.
Yeah, that's
or
fantastic.
stream, I should say. Yeah.
And as it was recommended, I hope one of these days we can get you guys on for some Smash Brothers Ultimate on there as well, because
Yes.
I don't think everybody had a good time with F-Zero X as much as we were thinking, because that game is a hard one
It's
to
so
control.
hard, man. It's such a difficult game.
It's brutal.
I
Yeah.
remember
Oh my
playing it for the first time and experiencing that and being like, "Wow, this is brutal." I thought it was just GX that was that hard, but nope, X is still as hard. It's like F-Zero just does not pull punches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it still controls really well. Like if you can get the hang of it, it's a really well thought out game, and it's just really aggressive. Like you have to be aggressive in the game like that, where there's literally a moving obstacle of 29 other machines in your way at the same time. But yeah, it's just that's always a great one to jump back into, and I hope we can see F-Zero GX back somehow, some way. I really want to play other titles again.
Now, Steve, I know you also have been playing Kirby, and we haven't heard your thoughts yet, man. How are you? How's your progress coming in Kirby?
This is kind of your
and how are you
first
feeling
Kirby
about it?
game too, right?
It's my first Kirby game, and I'm gonna also be the sole dissenting voice here. I think it's just okay.
How far have you gotten?
I don't want to go into spoiler territory too much, but as I understand it, there are two main pieces of the main campaign, and I am at the beginning of the second piece.
Okay, so you've hit credits.
No.
I see where you're at now. Okay, I know where you're at now.
Okay.
Yeah. The pre-credits portion of the game is, in my mind, split into two pieces.
I know
I see.
I know exactly where you're at now.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. It's absolutely fun, but I think that it is what I would call like a B tier Nintendo game, and that's not a bad thing. I think that it is, however, I could never imagine elevating this game to the status of, say, Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey, or even going back further like Ocarina of Time or something like it. This to me is not one of Nintendo's all-time greats. It's a good game, and it's entertaining and it's fun, but I also find myself not really feeling that sense that I have to continue playing it. I don't feel ever like, it hasn't hit the point of being like the gaming equivalent of a page turner for me, in the same way that certain other games are. Like I'll be honest with y'all, I wouldn't mark this as a game of the year contender in my book so far. Horizon for me held my interest far more captive than Kirby has. And Ash, you mentioned that you put down Horizon to play this, and I think I would have initially, like I probably would have, if I was still playing Horizon when Kirby released, I would have put it down for like a day and played Kirby, and then I probably would have gone right back to Horizon to finish it.
Well, don't get me wrong. I wish I could be playing both. I mainly put Horizon down and focused 100% on Kirby, not because just I love Kirby, but also I didn't, it sometimes takes me a little longer to finish games with work and everything, and I wanted to be able to be in our spoiler discussion when we do that. So, and I knew Kirby would be a lot shorter than Horizon. So, yeah, that's part of the reason I completely put Horizon down. But believe me, I've been thinking a lot about Horizon over the past week, and I'm desperate to get back to it as well. So, but I mean, I both agree and disagree. Like, obviously, look, I'm biased. Kirby's my favorite Nintendo character. And I think Forgotten Land is easily like an A-tier Nintendo game. But I also agree, like you name dropped some of Nintendo's best games of all time. Ocarina of Time. Like I wouldn't put it on that like an S-tier level. No.
This isn't a game changer
A for me.
Yeah, this isn't a game changer.
Right. It's not. It's very.
I want to keep my opinions mostly close to my chest because I do want to expand upon them with an actual review. But to somebody that has not really played a lot of Kirby, that take makes complete sense to me. I would like to see, like, if you can manage it, get to the very end, like at least hit credits. I think at least hearing your reaction to that would be fun to see because final bosses in Kirby are always a good time, and this is no different.
All right, so stay tuned. I will let you know. I will give you my revised like elevator opinion next GVGcast. I'll hit credits before the next episode.
Okay,
and then I'll give my final take on the game.
Yeah, that works.
That said, I think it's probably safe to assume, though, that you like Kirby and the Forgotten Land just a little bit more than the other game you played this past week, which I kind of teased at before. But you played Mega Man
Yes.
X7, one of the worst Mega Man games ever made. And I got to know, man, how you feeling about that?
Mega Man X. So I spent $10, and that was upsetting. And I spent 2 hours, which was probably even more upsetting. Mega Man X7 is, and I say this without even a hint of hyperbole, it is what would happen if somebody distilled the feeling of having a urinary tract infection into a video game.
Yeah.
It is so painfully bad to play that I felt unclean after I played it. I played it on the flight here to Washington, and I put my headphones in. I almost, like, I put my Switch down, and I was like, I can't play anything for a while after having tried this.
I know.
Everything in this game is wrong. Every single thing. Like, they don't get anything right.
You want to know the scary thing, Steve? That's the best version. That's better than the PS2 version.
That's true. Yeah.
I can't imagine that this game made it through QA without someone raising their hand and being like, you do know that this is absolutely terrible, right? Yeah. I know that that's typically not QA's job, but I've worked in QA and I've definitely let people know, like, hey, this game I'm testing for you, it just straight sucks. Like, it's not good. And they're like, we don't care that it's not good. And I imagine that's what happened here. Like, someone at Capcom had to be like, this is awful, right? And they're like, we didn't ask you if it's awful. We asked you if you could pop through that wall.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. And this came about because of our discussion right here on the channel about the worst games in our favorite series, right? And you were like, maybe you're being a little hyperbolic. Maybe it's not really that bad. It is that bad. It really is.
So it starts off, for those of you that have never played it, like, you start off as Axel, which is fine. I don't mind the whole Raiden thing that was really popular during the PS2 era. But you lock onto enemies, and there's seemingly, like, no rhyme or reason to how or when you shoot them even. It's just like, they don't explain it to you. If there is a button to, like, switch targets, they don't tell you what it is. And when there's more than one target on screen, you're always shooting at the wrong one. Always. I have never gotten so trashed in a tutorial level in my life. And it was just so incredible. And he's slow. And his character design is uninteresting. And the voice acting is bad. Like, there was nothing. I made it through the first section. And I got to the second one. I was like, oh, God. I was already tired. I just didn't want to.
So that leads me to my next question. It sounds like not only did you not finish it, which I don't blame you, did you get to the Flame Heinard boss fight?
Not on the plane. No, I was trying not to abuse myself too much. So
gotcha.
I played enough of it to know that it is every bit as bad as you said. And I probably I almost have you ever eaten something really disgusting and then you need someone to eat a piece of it just so they know how bad this thing is? Like, I feel like I might want to stream this game just so I can share the suffering of playing Mega Man X7 with people. Yeah, like, hate play it.
I think that would make, honestly, that would delve into, we want to see pain. That's all that would be, rather than sharing how bad this is. No, it's like, we need to see Steve suffer.
I'm just going to put a little meter on the screen and super chats can buy more time.
And if you haven't gotten to the Flame Heinard boss fight, you have not seen both the best and the worst part of that game yet. So strap in, because it gets even better / worse when you get to that boss fight. It's pretty incredible. You may have seen a video of it before, the whole burn to the ground thing, but it's pretty wild. If you haven't, I'm going to send you the video after this, because what in the world? Calm down, LA. Someone just spun out their tires. But with that said, we do have some super chats. And our good friend Jaden Buck is back as always, but changing things up a bit. $10. Thank you so much for your donation, Jaden. Saying, I have decided to replace Crazy Question Fridays with Normal Question Fridays. So here's normal question number 1. What is your favorite thing to do at the beach? Also, happy April Fool's Day. Well, that's a fun question, and I haven't been to the beach in way too long. But my buddies and I from the DDR community out here used to do beach bonfires. So that we get a bunch of us together, stake out a bonfire pit at Dockweiler Beach, and then just spend the whole day, hanging out, eating, drinking, swimming, playing volleyball. It was a lot of fun, and so definitely that would be my favorite thing to do at the beach. Bonfires with friends. What about you guys?
I'd probably have to go with either reading a book or jumping waves if the waves are actually going on. The last couple of times I've been to the beach, the waves have been pitiful, so I haven't really been able to jump them. But that's what I loved to do as a kid. Nowadays, hang out and read because I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the beach just because I hate the cleanup afterwards. I hate getting sand all over me. It's just like it just uncomfortable at the best of times.
Right.
Understandable. Yeah, I've had the joy and pleasure of actually doing some smashing watermelons on the beach before with family.
cool.
Oh my God.
So we literally we'll get some nice juicy ones, right? And then we'll blindfold somebody and then we'll spin them around, right? And then everyone just backs up because no one wants to get hit by this person. And then we just try our best to just slam. We get only a few shots each to just slam down and see if we can hit this watermelon because we have to actually walk up to it as well. You have to get some distance from it, and nothing really in particular for the winner, but it's just a fun little game for everyone to do and get all excited about. It's pretty silly.
Daniel, I've literally only ever seen that in animes. I thought it was like
I was about to say,
fake.
Daniel, you're anime as fuck, man.
I know. I've never heard a normal person
is
actually
super
doing
anime.
that.
Like, let's try this.
Yeah.
Let's see what it's
It's
like,
like,
and it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
What
What
about
about you,
hang out
Steve?
with my friends Son Goku and Ranma, Anyway,
No one got hurt. Don't worry though. No one got hurt during this.
So I live in a landlocked state, so I don't really see the beach very. I think the last time I went to the beach, I was maybe 5 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I guess I went
Whoa.
once after an E3, but I was really hungover, so I just kind of ate a hot dog on a stick.
Well, there you go.
I would say I could tell you what I would like to do because I've never been to the beach as an adult on purpose. I would like to rent a beach house with friends and just
Ooh.
spend a week
That
out
would be
near
a
the
blast.
water.
Mhm.
I would love to get like a group of friends together, make videos, stream, and then spend the evenings doing beach stuff.
Other than the make videos and stream, in which I'm going to tell you right now, unless you bring a special setup, you are not going to be streaming from a beach house. At least where I go anyway.
Challenge accepted.
Because I have a friend who knows how to set it up and get us decent internet and get around their whole, at least with the beach houses that we can rent out. Because that is a thing my friends and I do. Is every year we rent a beach house, holds like 10 to 13 people, and spend a week together. And then we're going to be doing that in May. So should be fun.
Nice.
Split it up, get to see each other once a year. It's sort of like Ash's Vegas trip, I think.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jaden, for that very normal but very fun question. Next up, we have
Yeah.
Stacy UK 1982 with 10 pounds. Thank you. Saying, hi, all. This week marked my 40th birthday and my 33rd year of gaming.
Ooh.
How old were you all when you started gaming? I was 7 and my first console was a Sega Master System. Well, first of
Dang.
all, happy freaking birthday.
Nice. Yeah, happy
Hope it was a
birthday.
great one
Yeah,
for you.
happy birthday.
And for me, I was 4 years old and I started with the NES.
4 years
What about you
old,
guys?
starting with the NES.
Yep, there you go.
Wow. I was about 5, and my first game was Super Mario World on the SNES.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, Stacy, you and I are very similar, it turns out. I'm guessing 1982, well, no, I know for a fact is your birth year. So I started around 6 or 7 with a Sega Master System. So
Awesome.
Oh wow.
the 80s were
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, happy birthday once again, Stacy. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for the
absolutely.
super chat. Next up is Darkshi with $10 saying, thank you. It's saying, I ordered Mega Man X Collection 1 and 2 physical for Switch, and they gave me a physical card of 1 and a digital code for 2. How dare they? I didn't know about this. LOL. Yeah, that I hate when games come like that, where it's like partly
Mhm.
physical, partly digital. And yeah, that's what Capcom decided to do for the X Legacy collections. But
Yeah.
Well,
honestly,
you can't commit
2 of the
X7
games
to a
aren't
cart.
worth. Yeah, 2 of the games really aren't worth
Yeah.
aren't worthy of being printed on a physical card, if you ask me.
Oof.
Being X6 and X7.
So Ash, real quick, are you feeling the temptation I am seeing all those Japanese versions of Chrono Cross that actually have physical versions and importing
Yes,
that?
yes.
Because,
Yeah, yeah.
dear God,
I'm gonna have to get that physical Chrono
So
Cross.
that
cool.
is
I'm
that is
gonna have to.
gorgeous. I want it.
I'm ordering
Yeah.
that, and I don't even.
I tweeted about it
know
a
if I
couple.
like
I
that
tweeted the
cake.
box art a couple of days ago, and I was like, just seeing this box art is just making me feel all sorts of things, all good things. Like, it's just amazing to see this wonderful, incredible game finally being brought back for a new generation of players. And I hope everyone who loves JRPGs takes the chance to play Chrono Cross if you haven't, because it is such a special game. Very divisive, but I fall on the positive side of that divide personally.
Same here.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do one more super chat for now, and then we'll segue into the news. And this is from Colt D. Thank you so much, with $10, saying, what are your Breath of the Wild 2 theories? Mine is that the whole Koga falls down in the Yiga hideout is how Link and Zelda find Ganondorf / get underground. Also, do we get Wind Waker HD port since the delay? Thank you so much, Colt D, for your donation. And I wanted to go ahead and read that out because that serves as the perfect segue into a little bit of the news we're talking about today. The main topic, really, of which is Breath of the Wild 2's recent delay to spring 2023. I don't think any of us were too surprised when that happened. It doesn't seem even like the internet was really surprised. And the response to it has been surprisingly cool. Like, okay, yeah, we kind of expected that.
Honestly, the bigger surprise would have it being out this year. Let's be honest.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I had held out a little hope that maybe it would still sneak out in holiday 2022, but neither was I surprised at all when we got the news that it was delayed to spring 2023. And I think we're all probably in agreement that it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the wait, more than likely. But to answer your question, Colt D, I absolutely do believe that we're going to get Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD on Switch this year instead. I think that's probably the way they fill that gap. Feels like a
good July, August game.
Yeah.
Makes sense now, yeah.
Yeah, it does. But one thing I noticed in the teaser, and I don't believe this was part of the original like E3 direct video from last year, or the direct trailer from last year, but in the teaser in Aonuma's video, we see something weird happening to the Master Sword. Like, what's going on?
It's basically shattered. That's definitely new.
It's melted.
It's in worse shape than
melted
we've ever seen it.
Yeah. Right. It's not just rusted. It's like gnarled and melted and not even complete.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
I have a theory about that.
Okay, let's hear it.
Ooh, let's hear it, Steve.
So I think, and I saw this also echoed on Twitter somewhere else, but I think that Link is possessed and protected by something. I believe that first off, I think that corpse that they find, that desiccated corpse in the beginning, I think we all kind of agree with this, is Ganon. I think that's his physical form that he shed to become Calamity Ganon.
That is Ganondorf. Mm-hmm. We saw Ganon, and that Ganondorf.
So I think that what causes the cataclysm that separates Link and Zelda, and more importantly for this, messes Link's arm up, I think that Ganon tries to possess Link as like a new host. And that's why his arm in the new trailer is black. When you see him grabbing the messed up Master Sword, it's completely black. And I don't think we've ever seen it like that. But it has the gold armor that was on that like ethereal arm that was holding Ganon down, or at least it appeared to be holding Ganon down. So I think Ganon tries to overtake Link and possess him to become his new host or something. And then that arm, like the armor from the arm, clamps down on Link to prevent Ganon from fully taking over his body. And I think that during that process, Ganon destroys the Master Sword, because you look and it's like all black and twisted and messed up, but near the bottom, it's pristine and still glowing, the way it did when it was encountering evil in the original game. So I think, and this would be really cool. This is the part that I saw on Twitter. It would be so cool if instead of having like Fee or Navi or some kind of companion, if instead you had Ganon like talking crap to you throughout the game.
That would be wild.
I think I had that idea a long time ago, as just as a possibility, but I was like, nah, I mean, it'd be cool, but I doubt it's going to happen. I did toss that out there a while back. I forget where, but I distinctly remember saying that. And yeah, I think that it works. And hey, maybe that's the whole point, is you got to reforge the Master Sword.
Right.
Which,
I like that theory, Steve. I got to say, we're obviously going to be waiting a little bit longer to find out if it's correct or not. But seems pretty solid to me. And yeah, I can't wait. Spring 2023 feels a little bit far away right now, but I think the wait's going to go faster than we think, especially considering how stacked this year already is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I think it'll be. I think that this was not necessarily caused either. I don't think the delay was necessarily caused by Zelda itself, although I think the team is probably really grateful to have the time. But I still remain convinced that Nintendo is going to launch some kind of hardware alongside Breath of the Wild 2.
It makes sense.
That definitely makes
That's
sense.
how you
I
push
absolutely
hardware.
still believe in the Switch Pro /4K. I think that's just an inevitability at this point. And it may just, as you said, Steve, it may release alongside Breath of the Wild 2. That would make a lot of sense. Daniel, we've been kind of talking a lot. Do you have any particular thoughts on Breath of the Wild 2 or its delay right now?
It's just not surprising at this point with how much that Zelda has a history for delaying everything. Although it's crazy that this game, with all of its assets that's already been made from Breath of the Wild, the original one, I wonder what's going on in this game that they have to have almost a longer development time for Breath of the Wild, the original, than for its sequel to justify the fact that this is coming out like 6 years after the original had been released. Because I was thinking we're gonna get some kind of like Majora's Mask situation where it's not gonna be like a year in between, but definitely a shorter release schedule than our usual Zelda cycle would be.
A lot of asset reuse.
But it's become longer, so it's like, what's happening with this, and when are we gonna get the title? And there's just so many what's going on with this game right now. It's got me very curious. But I mean,
I think that speaks. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna go into like a Zelda theory, but you go ahead first with yours.
Oh no, I was just gonna say real quick that I think that this speaks to the fact that this is less of like a Majora's Mask style spin-off and more of just a proper full-on sequel, because I mean it is typically like 5 to 6 years between mainline Zelda entries, when it's a full from the ground up. The other thing is that Breath of the Wild, as Zelda games go, was one of the least well optimized mainline Zelda games ever. Like it struggles more on the Switch than other games traditionally have on the hardware they were designed for. And I don't know if that's because it started life as a Wii U game or what it is, but I have to bet that with the verticality they seem to be introducing to the map, that probably introduced challenges of its own to like get it to run smoothly. And I really, really hope that Breath of the Wild 2 runs smoother than the original.
That's for sure. But speaking of smooth, Steve, Jacomon and Manita in our live audience patron chat mentioned something that I also noticed about this delay video that is probably as important as the delay itself, and that is Aonuma's new haircut, which looks banging, man. He looks so good, and that was surprising. He completely changed his style, and I think he's looking sharp.
I can't disagree. I mean, for more information on that, definitely check out John's short analysis. Analysis short.
Yeah, everyone's got new cuts in this timeline.
It goes deep, man. Goes deep.
It's true. All right. Well, I think we've pretty much exhausted that subject as much as we can, and let's switch gears a little bit. This was something that people were not surprised by, not too disappointed, I don't think. But this next thing we're talking about, I think, does have people maybe a little bit more disappointed than expected, and that is that Sony did finally reveal Project Spartacus, which is now their new PlayStation Plus premium tiers. And the pricing is a little bit gross, in my opinion, and I get why they're doing it. They're smart. They're tying the retro games, PS1, PS2, and PSP, to the highest tier, to PlayStation Plus Premium. And that is going to be $120 yearly, $50 quarterly, or $18 monthly. That's a little bit higher than I was expecting, but it's also hard for me to say no to having a library of retro PlayStation.
I need to
How are you guys feeling about this?
I need to see the library. That's really what it comes down to.
They didn't show any.
Right. Yeah, I need to see the lineup to see if it's worth it, in my opinion, because it's one of those things. And as Vedron points out, it is the same price as if you bought a year of PlayStation Plus and Now. So if you already have those two,
true,
the base price is pretty good. It's not
I guess
terrible.
because I don't use PlayStation Now, I didn't really factor that in, but that's
Right.
true. If you use both,
and from what I hear, PlayStation Now is better than it used to be. They just didn't really advertise it much. Nobody really talked about it. So this is the opportunity to get PlayStation Now out there and do pretty well, because I when I streamed Ratchet and Clank All for One, I think one or two of the other guys I was playing with was playing it through PlayStation Now, and I was playing off the PlayStation 3, and it seemed to run fine just for them. So
right.
It's a feasibility. I think it works out kind of well. And according to Chiru Cobra, the premium of PlayStation Plus is $120 a year, while a year of Game Pass Ultimate is $180. So
right.
It's the key here is whether they can convince the value of premium,
right,
especially with those old games. So we'll see.
And it does come down to the lineup, as you said, for sure. I need to see that before I know for sure. I think maybe what I was disappointed by, because it's true, Game Pass is actually a little bit more expensive, but I think the value with Game Pass up front is a little bit more obvious. And I think I was just hoping that the retro games wouldn't be locked to the highest tier. I'm not surprised they are, because they know that's what we want. But I was kind of hoping that maybe that wouldn't be the case. But, they don't care about what I think, so and they're going to make all the money. Steve and Daniel, how are you feeling about these new PlayStation Plus tiers, guys?
Yeah,
I have thoughts.
There is a lot of thoughts going on here. You got Jeopardy music. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, it's really tricky now when you have so many different subscription services. Like they start to add up a lot. You have Nintendo's expansion pass. If you own that, Xbox Game Pass is such a good deal for that value that's there. And it's a question of whether or not people want to really commit paying even more if they already have PlayStation Plus, if they want to commit paying more for these classic retro games that we're not even sure what any of the titles are. It's still kind of a big mystery there. But I mean, I would love to play some of the PlayStation 1 titles I missed out on, and PS2 titles that I no longer can play, and some PSP games as well. But the question is whether I want to continue committing to all these different services and just kind of balancing what is the most what's the most valuable to me as a player,
We need more family plans, because that's what makes expansion pass more affordable.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of,
I think that's what they're doing with Xbox. Game Pass.
So hopefully PlayStation does the same thing eventually. Real quick before we get Steve's opinion, though, I did see Logan Middleton's comment on YouTube. If we can if we can play Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, it'd be worth it in his opinion. Holy crap! I did not even think about that because the PSP there. But my God, if Crisis Core and Dissidia were available,
that would be.
That's one of the ones that I would want to look out for, definitely. Yes. I'm pretty sure they're going to have on there because people are just crazy about Final Fantasy right now, anyways. Final Fantasy VII in particular.
All right, Steve, lay it on us, man. What are your thoughts on these PlayStation Plus tiers?
So
He's got a lot of thoughts.
Steve cutting out. Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow. There's like.
Is your sister's internet crapping out?
Either way, I feel like the big issue. I don't know.
I think Sony's censoring us.
Do you all see me?
I think we're good now.
You're turning the pixels there for a moment.
Yeah, we can see you. Can you hear us?
We can hear you, yeah.
Yes, I can hear. Oh, you know what? I have not plugged in my computer this whole time. That might be why.
Oh my God.
That could do it. That could do it.
Doing it live, y'all.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll read out a couple more super chats and we'll circle back around to this. First up, we have $20 Australian
already
dollars.
Done.
Oh, are you done? Oh, okay.
Turns out there's.
Then go for it, man.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry. Okay. There's like a 10-second delay on my side, just FYI.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay. So for me, I think the issue with these new PlayStation Plus tiers isn't so much the price or anything. I think it's in line with competitive offerings. Like when you think about the fact that NSO is $80 a year, and like Daniel said, Game Pass is $180 a year if you go Ultimate. It suddenly doesn't sound that bad in that context. It like slots between what I would say is like an objectively inferior offering with NSO and what I would consider to be an objectively superior offering in Game Pass. So it's kind of in the middle of those two things, and that pricing wise makes sense to me. I think the issue that most people have with this, and that I certainly have with this, is that it would take a company like Sony very little effort to write a good performant PSP and PS3 emulator, and then let us just download these retro games instead of streaming them.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people have an issue. It's like, oh, I can't pull down a friggin' PSP game and play it on a PlayStation 5. Like, that seems like it should be easy to do. I mean, the Vita could emulate the PSP, you know?
Right.
So I think that if Sony were to add local downloads for these PS3 and Vita games to this offering, people would be really, really happy. I know I personally would be thrilled, but this feels more like Sony looked at PS Now and said, this is not doing well for us. How do we get more people to use this?
I'm
and
seeing
said,
a lot of I'm seeing a lot of people
Agreed.
say the PSP is downloadable. It's only PS3 it's not.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
it is only PS3. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
PS1, PS2, and PSP are going to be offered in both streaming and download options, whereas
Well,
PS3 are only available via streaming.
All right. I actually really like that. Problem solved.
Nice.
I have no
There you
qualms.
go.
There you go. I do agree about PS3 games, though. I do
Yeah.
wish they were not only available via cloud streaming, because I have used PlayStation Now, and I know it's more or less dependent on your internet connection, but it wasn't the best experience, and I have pretty decent internet. So,
How long
but
ago was
also,
this,
on the
Ash?
flip side of that, sorry?
How long ago was that, out of curiosity? Because
It was quite a while ago, to be fair. It was
I think
a few years ago.
I think Sony improved it and just didn't tell anybody.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
The service has been a pretty high priority for Sony, but it's one of those weird cases where on the back end they've done a lot of work, but the marketing just hasn't been there for it. I remember playing it at E3 2018, I want to say, and I thought it was really good. I tried it on the PS4 with PS4 games, and I felt that it was a little iffy back then, but this was also early gen PS4. That's like 6-7 years ago at this point. So I would say it's definitely an impressive service now, but I do got to admit, I would prefer to download those games. If they had a PS3 emulator available, that would be how I would go about it. But
yeah,
I agree with Derek. The lineup is going to be really, really important because Sony's retro offerings, I mean, they have some legendary stuff.
Oh, yeah, they do.
It's all third-party stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really is going to come down to that lineup. I really, really hope they get the Square Softs lineup from the PS1, right? Give me Parasite Eve, give me Xenogears, Brave Fencer Musashi, Einhander, Air Guys, God Bless the Ring. I want to play all those games.
We can get the bouncer, Ash.
Bring
the
back
bouncer.
The bouncer. Yes, I really hope they do. That would be a lot of fun. And I guess on the flip side of things, to add kind of a positive spin to this, PS3 games are probably what I care about the least. So to only have them available via streaming doesn't hurt as much as it would if they were offering all the retro platforms only via streaming. So yeah, I wish they were downloadable, but PS3 games are probably what I'm looking forward to the least in terms of, give me those PS1, PS2, PSP games. So yeah. Daniel, any last thoughts before we move on, man?
Pretty much echoing what you said. Like, if I want to play a PS3 game that I own, I'll just hook in my PS3. Honestly, better than subscribing to a service that only lets you play over streaming, because the ones I care about most are on PS1, PS2, PSP. Like, those are the ones I really want to like get back into and just experience them again, or just for the first time if I've never done that sort of thing. Maybe even do some things like Nintendo does and have some titles that never made their way over here available in some capacity. That'd be interesting as well. But we'll see. We'll see how that turns out.
Indeed. Well, we do have one more little bit of news. I don't think this will take very long, but as you probably already heard, E3 2022 has it's officially not happening. It's officially been canceled. No physical
we
event.
already knew this.
No digital event. It's weird. There was some misinformation floating around out there where it seemed as though there is a chance that there would be a digital event, that actually had not been fully canceled. But that apparently was misinformation, and that there was never any question that there is not going to be a digital E3 this year ever. So if there was ever any doubt, now there's not. Misinformation or not, E3 is not happening this year. But the ESA is, they have said that they're regrouping and plan to come back with a physical and digital event for 2023. So we might be doing the whole, getting the whole crew together in LA finally in the next year for E3. I hope so. Because I want to see all you guys.
We'll see.
I do love, though, Jeff Keighley, man. He was circling the waters because the same day that this came out, he was like, hey guys, it's Summer Game Fest 2022 happening in June. He was so ready for that.
Boy, I hope Summer Games Fest is worth a damn to look at, because it's so spread out and so whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I gotta respect the hustle on Keeley's part. He's definitely trying to supplant E3. The problem is, as much progress as he's made, he doesn't have the financial backing that the ESA does, and likely never will, just because the man would have to be a billionaire for that. And so I think that this is his big opportunity, but I don't think that Summer Game Fest will ever be more than a shadow of what E3 has been in its heyday. I'm hopeful that this means that the ESA is taking this year off to really think about what E3 has become. Because as those, Ash, you, me, Derek, we've all been to E3 multiple times. And as elitist as it sounds, when they opened it to the public, it became something less than what it was before. It became impossible to work. It was very difficult to work the show. And I mean, to the point where it had a real quantifiable cost in the fact that Sony just washed their hands of E3 and said, we don't like what this is anymore, and we're out of here until you change it back, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hoping that the ESA kind of realizes with COVID and with everything that happened that they really, really need to court the big three, because that's the only way that E3 2023 goes off and remains relevant, right? After essentially 2 years off, they have to bring Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo all back to the table to really show, like, hey, we're still here. E3 is still a thing you should care about. And we're going to put on a show that, you guys will enjoy. I hope that that's what happens. But honestly, like you said, Ash, it's one half work and one half social. And I really do miss that social half.
Totally agree. Yeah, and I do think June will bring the hype anyway, if not with Summer Game Fest. I feel like there's still, the big three will probably anchor their own presentations around the usual June hype period, right? Even if there's no E3, it'll probably be around in spirit. I fully expect a June Nintendo Direct, for example, that's probably going to be particularly exciting. Like, I think they'll probably still bring the hype in June. Let's hope they do. But yeah, I'm really hoping for the return of a physical event next year so I can hang out and work with you guys at the show. But that's the news for this week.
I have yet to even visit a single E3, and I was like, all right, this is going to be the time where I finally get to go there and see people and experience it. But whether or not we do next year or not, I don't know. It's something that I always really wanted to just go to and experience and see for myself, because I hear so many different great things about people that just do it for the social aspect. And at the same time, it feels like I kind of missed it in its heyday, like where it was a lot more like, I don't know about exciting, or I don't know what the real word is, because I haven't been to one before, but like I think they were a more pure experience back before it was open up to everybody in the public, and that's something else I missed out on. But hopefully sometime in the future. I
have watched E3 change quite a bit over the years. I'm totally aging myself by saying this, but amazingly, my first E3 ever was 1999, I believe, 1998, when Squaresoft was demoing Final Fantasy VIII at the show. That was my first ever E3, and I've gone almost every year since. That's crazy. I've seen the show change a lot. And the current version of E3 or the before the pandemic version, definitely with the public element is not quite what it used to be. As Steve said, we don't want to sound elitist, but when they did open it up to the public, the show became something different. And it's still, worth going, especially if you've never gone. But I wouldn't pay $1,000. Isn't it like $1,000 for a public ticket?
I have no idea, but I mean, I'm of two minds on that because I was definitely one of the ones like, oh God, imagine trying to have to work and all this and have to do all this, what we typically do. And it, it was definitely impacted. But that's also how I met Amy, so it's like not all bad.
Well, yeah,
all true. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think that there's still a lot of like public-facing fun that can be had around E3. But I definitely didn't like it when it used to be that you could freely walk the floor and like try to book appointments with people that you hadn't talked to, that hadn't emailed you or stuff like that. And that was basically my E3 flow. Like when I was much smaller, was I would pack up a bunch of business cards and just walk out on the floor and hand them out and introduce myself. And then the next year I would have an appointment in a back room with those people because they would know me. But once they opened like the floor to the public, it was these poor people that worked these booths were just so overwhelmed from having to answer questions from all kinds of people, and they had merch booths to run and stuff like that, and it became much more like a PAX or something like that. But probably most troubling for me was that like Nintendo was our primary beat at GX, and I could not get to the Nintendo media check-in to save my life because it was just a solid mass of people you couldn't pass through. And I would literally have to like wave our PR rep down from across the hall, and they would like shove people around, like, please move, we're trying to let people through here. And I would have to wade through a sea of people and ultimately end up smelling like 6 different kinds of sweat just to get into my meetings. But
it definitely was exactly like that.
That's where it makes sense.
I think it would just be good for it to go back to an industry event and then have all the public stuff kind of happening around it, just because I mean it used to be a thing for work, and now it definitely changed into something else, which is good and bad. I think there are positives that come with it because it is really cool to see fans enthuse about things, but it is almost weird because in a sense you're like, this isn't the E3 you guys read about. Like, this is a different E3.
It is different.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much does it for our news this week, our news discussion. I'm going to go ahead and read a few more super chats out, and then we'll get to our patron topics. First, we have 20 Australian dollars from the Shane Saw Experience. Thank you so much. Saying, just saw the Sonic 2 movie last night at the cinemas. No spoilers for anyone, but it was awesome. Hope you all enjoyed or will enjoy it as much as I did.
Nice.
Obviously, we can't wait. We can't wait. I'm going opening night here in LA, April 8th. I can't wait. Can't wait to talk about it. I've heard really good things. I'm so excited.
I'd love to go with Amy, but I guess if we're going to be doing a discussion on it, I think she said that she'd watch Kai so I can go, but I feel so bad because we watched it the first time together, and it sucks that we can't see it together because it's just not possible.
Right. And speaking of Amy, actually, Becca reminded us in our live audience chat that Amy's birthday is tomorrow. Happy almost birthday, Amy.
Very nice.
Yeah. Next up is Sonic and Meg. Oh, go ahead.
Derek. Oh no, I was just looking forward to spoiling her tomorrow.
Yeah. Sonic and Mega Man 531 with $2. Thank you so much. Saying Sonic versus Morbius spoilers. Morbius sucks. April Fools. Yeah, thank you for. Morbius didn't look very good from the trailers. No. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
$2 from Rox's Gamepad. Thank you so much. Saying or asking thoughts on the new One Piece game. I don't have any thoughts on it because I haven't really watched One Piece, but I bet you Derek and Steve might.
I think it looks good. I can't really look at it because of me doing my One Piece podcast for a long time, because that is way far ahead of where I'm at right now. So, that's not something I can check out. But as I was talking about with Brandon Bovia on the podcast, we're both interested in it. It looks like it has the ability to be what all anime games you kind of hope for, and that it looks fun. Maybe not. It's not going to be high art or anything like that. It's just going to be, it's like you enjoyed Kakarot, Steve, but you wouldn't put that up there in the upper echelons of games. The only one that we can say for that is Fighters, Dragon Ball Fighters. So.
Right. Yeah. It'll be a popcorn game, I'm sure. Something that's really entertaining, but it's not going to be super memorable years down the road. I think it's an RPG, if I read correctly, which sounds cool.
So
it is an RPG. What about Daniel? Do you have any thoughts on One Piece or the new game, or no?
This game has major Dragon Quest 11 vibes coming from its art style. Just looking at it.
Oh well, that I like. Very
To
cool.
an extent, yeah. But yeah, I'm not really that in depth into One Piece or anything. The most I've really experienced was listening to Derek's podcast, kind of just experiencing it with him. But yeah, it looks like it could be a good time.
Two of my best friends are super hardcore about One Piece, so I know they're both really excited about it. I haven't talked with them about it yet, but I know they're hype. Next up is Peruvian Soul from the Fa54. Thank you so much. Saying currently playing Chrono Cross on PS3. Want to beat some Square Takahashi games before Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Is good so far with some item/magic issues. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Chrono Cross is super special and super great, but it isn't perfect for sure. And but I hope you're enjoying it. Well, you said it's good so far, so I'm glad you're enjoying it, and that the item and magic issues don't hinder the experience too much for you. Thank you. Next is $5 from Peanut Pleb. I love that name. Saying hi from Melbourne, Australia.
Wow.
Been a fan since 2014. I was 12 years old then, turning 20 soon, and studying media because of you guys.
Oh wow.
Thanks for being awesome. Wow. That my heart, Peanut Pleb. Thank you. That is so kind of you to say, and I can't believe that. Every time I hear that we've had any sort of influence like that on people, it just blows my mind. And it's
weird,
so
right?
kind of you to say.
It's like, oh God, I've influenced people.
It's amazing.
Me too.
Oh God. Thank you so much. And I'll read out the rest of the super chats at the end of the show. But before we get to the Patreon topics, I do want to read out a PSA here that our community member Adam Davis told me about this earlier today, and the Etika's community, basically the dearly departed Etika, is putting out the call for support because they're going to be doing an Etika tribute on the Our Place subreddit, and it's happening tomorrow, and they need help. Basically, and I'm just going to read what Adam said because he explains it way more than I could. Our Place is a collaborative mosaic where people can work together or against each other to place pixels on a 999 by 999 canvas. The trick is that everyone can only post one pixel every 5 minutes. So the way to put something up and keep it up is to work with the community. All the coordination is going to be going on in a Discord server for people to help put up the image and then keep it from getting taken down by others. And obviously, we all miss Etika. Rest in peace. And I thought this was just a really good vibes thing to let people know about. And I'm going to post the link to that public Discord server right here in the YouTube chat for anybody who might want to get in on this and support these efforts. So obviously, rest in peace, Etika. We love you. And there you go, everybody. If you want to join the Discord server and help this Etika tribute happening tomorrow in Our Place, go ahead and join. And I'm also going to post it in our live audience patron chat. And there we go. Cool. So thank you for letting us know about that, Adam. That's very cool. And with that said, let's move on to our topics. As you all know, every week we have topics submitted by our patrons at the producer tier and above, and we all select one to talk about. And Daniel, you haven't been on the show for a while, so let's start with you, man. What's your Patreon topic for the week?
My topic was from Lan M asking, what games did you bounce off of on the first try, but ended up liking after trying or playing it again a second time? Funny enough, it's one of the series that I feel like I talk about the most. It's Persona. I first got into that game with Persona 3 FES or FES on the PlayStation 2. I was on a forum and a friend said, you would really like this game. I think this is right up your alley. So I got it from the store and played it for a good long while, actually. Like I think I played it for about 10 hours or so, and I wasn't really feeling it at that point. So I think I just kind of stopped and put it down and stepped away. And I don't know, I forget what it was that got me back into it, but there was something about it that, like, I saw the sort of makings of something really cool in there, because I think as I played it, I started to learn what that game was like. It's nothing unlike anything I ever played before at that time, especially when you explore Tartarus. I think Tartarus was the thing that kind of bore me down because it was just very samey. You're going through the same dungeon over and over. and I was starting to think, like, is this what the whole game is going to be? And that's around the time I put it down. And thankfully, at a certain point, I forget what part of the story I was, but after a few months, I think I just wanted to jump back into it to see if I just give it another chance, just a little bit more, because I spent a lot of time with it already. And eventually, like, I just there was something that got me hooked in. It must have been one of the events that happened for the Dark Hour, like the once a month bosses. Like there's a lot of story happens there. It's
cool.
very sparse in story until you get to those points, especially early on. Like Derek knows.
Yeah.
but
yeah.
It is. Yeah, the pacing is not great in Persona 3.
Yeah, it improves as the titles go on further and further along, but for sure that's something that I'm thankful that I got back into, or else I don't think I would be the same fan of that series as I am today.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
gotcha. I guess for me, I got a couple of quick answers. One is more of a genre. I bounced off roguelikes a lot from the very beginning. It's just not my genre. But when people kept telling me to try Hades, or like Hades is a great roguelike for people who don't really like that genre, and I have to agree. So I didn't bounce off it, didn't come back to it. But Hades was the one game I would say that has been like, okay, not a fan of this genre in general, but Hades is pretty damn cool despite that. But my other answer that I guess that I did bounce off of and then come back to was Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. It's not a good game, but when I went back to it the first time I played it, I'd never played an RPG before, a JRPG or Western RPG, and I thought it was like the dumbest game ever. Then when I came back to it later on with the context of having played really good JRPGs, I appreciated it for what it was. And it's still not a good game, but it's a weird, special game that has a certain place in my heart, and it has a banging soundtrack too. So I would say Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is probably a good answer for me on that.
Nice. What about you, Steve?
I heard an echo. Anyway, so it's the game everyone's talking about that we somehow have made it this far into the episode without uttering the name of, Elden Ring.
Oh, okay.
I recounted my initial experience with Elden Ring, but for those of you that didn't watch that episode of GVGCast, I picked up Elden Ring right at launch, and I started playing it like everyone else in the world was at the time. And I made my way through the tutorial, and I thought I was doing pretty good. And I ran into the Tree Sentinel, which is like this horse. It doesn't look like a tree. It's like a centaur thing, or like a mounted warrior, and it just destroyed me instantly. And I was like, well, okay, that's enough. I'm out of here. And I turned off the game, and I took a couple days off. And when my friend Nick came and visited me, I decided to show him Elden Ring, and I was like, oh, this game is stupid. And then next thing I knew, we were like 40 hours in, and we've been playing it ever since. So
Nice.
Turns out Elden Ring is fun, and it's extremely punishing, but there is kind of like a fun sense of accomplishment when you manage to take someone down. And when I return home, we'll be playing Elden Ring in co-op, because I liked it so much that I convinced him to buy it, and now we're going to play it together.
Nice.
And I don't know what you end up doing. I assume it's FromSoft, so probably we're going to kill God or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah. Cool. What about you, Derek?
First one that comes to mind is Final Fantasy Tactics, mainly because it was my first strategy RPG that I ever played, and I enjoyed it. I loved the art style. I was intrigued by the plot right from the get-go. But if you're familiar at all with that game, you go from map point to map point, and it just goes right into the next chapter, the next story fight. And I would do that, start up and get into the third fight where you're in the town. And every time I got to that fight, everybody was just kicking my ass. I was just not strong enough. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I couldn't figure it out. Well, what it turned out to be is that I didn't realize there's random battles that you can use to grind by going back and forth across the map. So when I finally figured that out, oh, hey, I can actually level up my crew and go through. And I ended up loving Final Fantasy Tactics thanks to that. But yeah, just me not knowing that there were random battles in order to actually improve my team. So there we go.
Nice.
Great game.
Nice. Good answer. Or a good answer. Good answer, as Raphael would say.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Steve, what's your topic for this week, man?
All right, my topic for this week comes from Young Ben Kenobi, who writes, what gaming worlds would you like to see have a canon crossover / merging like Xenoblade 3 is doing for the worlds of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 can be the same franchise or different franchises. And I picked this one because I've said my answer to this on TNT before. Star Fox and Metroid.
No.
Nice. I absolutely want Samus to team up with Team Star Fox to take out space pirates. I want to see this so bad.
That would be pretty wild.
I just want it to be like a traditional Star Fox game, and then Samus's gunship comes in and just saves like Great Fox.
That's so cool.
You fight Andros, and it turns out his brain is actually Mother Brain, controlling him the entire time.
Oh man, that would be amazing.
It writes itself.
Amazing.
That would be so hype. Yeah, I want Nintendo in general to like cross over more, like any of their franchises really, but I feel like the easiest fit is Star Fox and Metroid, because the vastness of space, they're both out there somewhere.
Right.
I guess you could run into Mario too. Or Kirby.
That's a great idea.
They've all gone to space.
Yeah. No, can't argue. Derek, what about you, dude?
I'm not sure. I'm looking at my, like, I can always tell when I'm trying to think of an answer because I just look over at my game case. It's like, what would I combine? And just out of a random,
I have a really easy answer for you.
Go ahead. I'll wait on mine then.
Yeah, if you need a little time to think about it, mine's pretty obvious, and this has already happened in comics, but I want to see it happen in video games. The Blue Bomber with the Blue Blur, man. Give me a Mega Man and Sonic crossover, and I would be so happy. That is literally like the dream crossover for me. And yeah, I mean, what more can you say? It's the Blue Bomber and the Blue Blur. They should be in a game together. They were in comics together. Let's see them team up and take down Dr. Wily and Dr. Eggman. I think that would be the coolest crossover that could ever happen for me. But yeah, that's my easy answer.
That makes sense. For me, looking at it like, what would go well? Like, what wouldn't you think about, but actually would go pretty well together? And these are the two titles that caught my eye, especially because I feel like they kind of would fit: Beautiful Joe and No More Heroes.
Ooh,
whoa! I like that.
I feel like those two complement each other really well.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
No More Beautiful Heroes.
Really like that.
Yeah,
I do. I love that.
So
although I can't really imagine like Beautiful Joe cutting someone's head off.
I know,
it'd be robots. He'd be fighting robots.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Jet Set. They both have sexy Sylvias.
Ooh,
that's true.
Why did you say that name?
Think about
Yeah, they especially with the comic book aesthetic, like they could just lean into that entirely with Beautiful Joe, and that works so well with No More Heroes already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm down.
Oh, there's some great suggestions in our live audience chat. Castlevania and Doom. That's a cool thought for sure.
I'd love it if there was some kind of like the worlds of Fire Emblem and Zelda can kind of blend together. Like if there was a turn-based RPG kind of like Zelda game, but in the style of Fire Emblem's gameplay, but with characters crossing over in that game. Because it's funny how many classes Link can actually be in a Fire Emblem game when you consider like being cavalry, being a sword user, being now a lance user, and all these other weapons as well, bows and all of that. And then just have like other characters involved in there as well, like Zelda, or it could be like a crossover sort of with the whole Zelda franchise being like Fire Emblem units and then Fire Emblem itself. But it's a pretty easy answer for me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I do like that thought too. Some good answers.
Man, Castlevania and Bloodborne.
That's a good one.
That'd be. I've seen some people suggest it. It's like, yes, please. Just that aesthetic.
Yeah.
The World Ends With You in Persona.
There you go.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Very stylish.
Which one is the true Tokyo?
Which is the actual Shibuya?
Yeah.
The World Ends With You and Kingdom Hearts. Oh wait, that already happened. Thank you for that for that great topic, Young Bin Kenobi. Derek, you're up, man. What's your topic this week?
All right, my topic comes from Vedron saying, if a dormant game franchise were to return in some capacity, but the series had a genre change entirely, what game would come back and what genre would you like it to be? And I thought that was a pretty interesting question, and I would love to see. Honestly, I'm thinking to it like it has to be an NES game. Has to be an NES game. It's like it works so well for Kid Icarus. So I'm trying to think in that same sort of real shift. And I think Ice Climber.
Oh, okay.
In the design
Oh.
of Fall Guys, except you're climbing a mountain.
That's really cool.
That is cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a really good one. I'm all about that.
Nintendo's own Fall Guys. We have these guys. Everybody's in parkas and trying to climb up a mountain and have all kinds of polar bears and other weird crap getting in your way. First one to reach the bird at the top and escape wins. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back Ice
That's
Climbers.
a really good one, man.
Oh my goodness.
I'm still thinking of mine. Do either of you have your answer ready? Steve or Daniel? Okay, nice.
Mine is an easy one. Mysterious Murasame Castle as an open world action RPG.
Ooh.
Literally just following the same path Zelda did.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, I
look.
I want Nintendo
there
to
it
do
is.
something with Takamaru.
There it is.
Yeah,
Steve.
exactly.
It exists.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ghost of Tsushima is so good too. That's what I thought of when I said it. But I was like, yeah, I would love to see Nintendo's spin on like a real Japanese game.
Right.
Man, I thought about this.
Really good.
I thought about this before we got again a title in the series again last year. But if we could take just the entire kind of the art style and the aesthetic of the Game & Watch collection and just make it into a WarioWare style game, like where there's just so many different kind of like those kind of micro games, but all structured with the crazy like Game & Watch style and aesthetic like throughout the whole thing. Just lean into the LCD art and just go wild with it. But yeah,
amazing they haven't done that because that seems like such a layup. Maybe it's too simple. I don't know, but it could definitely be its own set of mini games at the very least.
I think there's definitely like there's some micro mini games that are styled as Game & Watch, like those old styles, but just do the whole game like that. I don't know. I think that'd be interesting to kind of revive that somehow.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
I guess in keeping. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. I guess in keeping with the Nintendo themed answers, bring Mother back, but bring it back as an action RPG series. I want to explore more of those worlds. I love the vibe of the Mother series, and if we can't have it as a turn-based JRPG, I think it could work as an action RPG. You'd have to rework the PSI abilities a little bit. They might not be quite as flashy, but I want more Mother games, and if it can't be a turn-based JRPG, I think especially with the perspective you already have on the other games, that kind of overhead perspective, I could totally see that working as an action RPG. That's my I think that's probably what I would do. Or alternatively, Mega Man Legends, bring that back as a turn-based JRPG, so I can see the story in Mega Man Legends 3, but just in a different genre if I have to do that. So
Mega Man Legends, but bring it back. Period.
Just bring it back at all. Exactly.
Bring it back as a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, do Earthbound Beginnings as an action RPG, so I can actually play it, and many other people will actually be bothered to beat the game and try it.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you for that topic, Vedron. And then to wrap things up, my topic this week comes from Critter XD, and they ask, "What is your experience with rhythm games, and which one is your favorite one/type? I used to play a ton of DDR back in middle school, and now I still play some Taiko no Tatsujin every so often to keep my sense of rhythm up. Thanks, and you guys rock." Well, Critter, I have a huge history with rhythm games, and when I saw DDR in your question, I'm like, I got to talk about this. Because I started playing DDR hardcore during my high school years. And then I became a pretty big part of the SoCal, Southern California tournament scene. Like I was one of those people who would hold the bars and play all the hardest songs, sweat dripping. Me and my friends would draw huge crowds. I was that DDR player, 100%. And it was one of the best times of my life. I was in the best shape of my life too, not surprising. But yeah, I've played DDR for years and years. I started with Konamics on the PS1 at home, and then I was convinced to play in the arcade. They're like, I would play with a friend at the time, and he was like, this is cool, but trust me, come to the arcade, it's way better. And I was convinced. And once I did that, there was no looking back for me. Playing in the arcade was just unlike any other experience. And just having that, the thrill of, competing with other people, but also drawing crowds. And you would very easily be able to find the songs that look really hard to a layperson, but are actually pretty easy and very easily show off. And so I have a ton of experience with DDR, and I just play a ton of rhythm games in general. You asked which one is my favorite one or type. I definitely prefer Japanese rhythm games over Western ones. Like, I'm not really into Guitar Hero, Rock Band, not my thing. The great games, just not for me. But Groove Coaster, Groove Coaster is probably one of my very favorite rhythm games. The entire Hatsune Miku series, I really enjoy. Kingdom Hearts, Melody of Memory, Theater Rhythm, all of those could, be considered some of my favorite rhythm games. But definitely Japanese rhythm games in general are what I tend to focus my rhythm game time on. And actually, thanks to one of our community members, I've been turned on to a really cool rhythm game called Toho Spell Bubble. And it combines it combines Puzzle Bobble with a rhythm game element, and it's really cool. So I've been playing a little bit of that lately too. And so that is my experience with DDR and rhythm games. What about you guys?
I think Ash just ran the gamut for all.
Just about everything and everything.
Man, when I was working at an arcade, I had a friend of mine who was really into a game. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of DJ Max Technica. It's a South Korean game. It's really like it's all touchscreen because you also can have it on your iPad as well. It's just a really intense kind of very precise kind of rhythm game that I really haven't seen it before since then. I'm really bad at it. Our arcade friends were always playing that or DDR, but as far as other games that we haven't mentioned, I think, man, I guess my favorite would be just Elite Beat Agents and even the Owen Dawn games. Like those were really fun. Like my friends got into that, and we were just really into that when that first came out. It's just so ridiculous and hype inducing. That's probably some of my favorite ones because I'm not really too hardcore into rhythm games. I'll get into a few, like the Persona dancing games as well. But it's really like those kinds that I remember on the DS. Like that era is the ones I have a lot of memories of myself personally.
Nice.
I've only played an occasional amount of rhythm games. I enjoy them when I play them, but it's not a genre I go to a lot. But there's one example of me just being absolutely addicted to one, and that is Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Like
Nice. That's a
have
one.
distinct memories of me being up till 3 a.m. in bed just playing that on my Vita all night long, headphones in, just jamming to it, just not even tired, just losing myself in the music and actually caring about getting beyond easy or normal. Like I was actively working to get better so I could do the hard mode of the songs and the extreme mode of the songs. It was fantastic, and I was so excited for Persona 3 and Persona 5 dancing as well. It was just, I don't know, it's something extremely addictive, which is weird to me because at that point I'd only played maybe a third of Persona 4, but I still loved the game.
Just really, because that whole story goes into after the events of the game
exactly
itself,
so I got spoiled on a few things, but it's like whatever, I'm enjoying the music, who cares?
Yeah. Really good music in those games for sure. For remixes across all like 3, 4, and 5 of the dancing games, those are really fun to play and listen to.
Agreed.
You've been pretty quiet over there, Steve. What about you, man? Do you have a history with rhythm games?
I do. Rhythm games.
Okay.
I'm kind of with Derek in that they're not really my go-to genre, right? But there are exceptions here and there. I definitely played a lot of DDR. I definitely wasn't like a rail grabbing, noodle-legged superhuman. But I did play quite a bit of DDR in the arcades, and I owned a couple of mats for the PS2 and played that a lot. But unfortunately, DDR was really hot during a time in my life where I was mostly apartment bound. So it was really hard to play those games anywhere but an arcade because as anyone who's lived in an apartment will know, jumping around on a mat is probably not something your neighbors will love you for. So I ended up dropping DDR pretty quickly But I do actually have one thing in common with the person who put up this topic, in that I really like Taiko no Tatsujin. That is one of my favorite, because it's easier to play. I own like several of like the actual like hardcore drums for it. So I have the Switch version of like the really nice high-end Taiko drum for it. And I do really enjoy the game. The track list on it is pretty diverse. Like you've got Disney songs and stuff from like anime and Sentai and other video games. There's even I was about to say, one of my favorite tracks on the Switch version is the Kirby song. Like it's really fun to play, you know, and tap out all the really rapid beats to that song with the drum controller. So I would say Taiko no Tatsujin is probably my favorite one out of the current like crop of rhythm games. But I would be okay with a new DDR coming out, especially now that I don't live in an apartment. I don't have to worry about people banging on their ceiling telling me to shut up. So if they came out with one, I'd probably pick it up. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about Konami here, so wishing one
right. Yeah. You know, speaking of DDR home games, though, I am a staunch defender of CCR, which stands for Controller Revolution. I always had a great time playing the DDR games at home without a dance pad. Like, you know, yeah, with the dance pad is great too. And that's obviously the intended way. But I love just playing songs and practicing the step charts just on a controller. I think it's a really fun way to play DDR games personally. Also, one of my best friends in our live audience chat, Jansen, reminded me of Gitaru Man. Gitaru Man is an easy favorite. Such a good game. If you haven't played it, please do. Hopefully Sony brings it to their new PlayStation Plus tiers as one of the classic PS2 games, or PSP. It was on both. And I'm also kicking myself. I didn't mention Rhythm Heaven. What is wrong with me? Rhythm Heaven is one of my very favorite series of all time, regardless of genre. So, yeah, but Critter, thank you so much for that topic. That was a lot of fun. And before we wrap up, we do have a few more super chats. First up is, I lost my place here. Esax08 with $4.99. Thank you so much. Saying deal is you can get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for much lower than $180. Right. So there are a lot of different ways that you can compare the different prices of the online services from the big three. That's a good point. Thank you. Lizard81288 with $10. Thank you so much. Do you think they'll get the PAL versions on the Sony subscription service, much like the PlayStation Mini? I also wonder if the selection will be that. Probably not. Yeah. I also wonder if the selection will be that questionable, like the PlayStation Mini. I think it'll be much better than the PlayStation Mini. I hope it will be. Anyway.
PlayStation Mini feels like a quick cash grab in retrospect.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly
jumping on this trend.
Yeah. And next up, wow, $50 from Aramis Baramis, one of our newest patrons. Thank you so much for your generosity. Saying glad to see Steve is feeling better. Again, love the show. And yeah, there are so many great RPGs on the PS1 and 2. Really hope they have some of them. Thanks for what you do. Well, thank you for supporting what we do. That is just so incredibly generous of you. Thank you, Aramis. And then next up is Screamo Shaman with $4.20, one of the fun numbers, saying April Fool. Well, happy April Fool's Day to you as well. And thank you for your super chat. And unless I'm mistaken, I think that's the last one. Oh, no, there are a couple more that came in. Excuse me. My bad. Next up is Hustlebun with $4.99, saying, assuming I missed any Kirby discussion, but my word is that game wonderful and the soundtrack slaps. Alavel Mall, The Ghost House, what are your faves? Dude, yeah, we talked about this earlier, but the soundtrack is amazing. Alavel Mall, the beach stage, I think it's called the Abandoned Beach. Every snow stage, like the ice Metro on Ice, and the first stage, I can't remember what it's called. But all the winter themed level songs are some of the best in the game, and the beach theme. What about you guys?
I mean, pretty much everything you just said, and I mean the through line, that leitmotif that they continually put in there is so fantastic.
Good. Yeah,
Kirby turns into a car. Kirby good.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm really a fan Daniel, of the Treasure Road. It's something that I've been stuck in my head because I especially with how much time I spent there trying to get our the personal record times, which does nothing except give you 50 stupid coins extra, but I still commit to beating them all anyways.
Just fish up the really tough fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a mark of pride. I had to do it all. The challenge was there, so I had to do it. So I spent a long time listening to that song, especially for some of the harder ones later on in the game. But that's one of my favorites, and as well as the theme you hear in one of the, I guess it's the post game, like the main theme you start hearing when you're playing through stages in the post game. That's one of the best songs for me as well.
Ooh, I haven't heard that yet because
Yeah,
I haven't started the
check that
post game
out.
yet. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much. Next up is Danova with $4.99. Thank you. Saying it's super sad E3 is not happening this year, but very excited to go to my first big con being PAX East. Hope to get to meet you, Ash. Well, same. Yeah. And I guess that's a great reminder. I am officially locked in for PAX East. I will be the only one of the GVG crew there, but I will be there. And I'm certainly going to host like a fan meetup for all the GVG fans who are there. So stay tuned to my Twitter, the GVG Twitter, for more info closer to the show on where and when that fan meetup will be exactly. But I'd love to meet you, Danova. Thank you. And then finally, we're closing things out with Vedran with $5. Thank you so much, saying, gonna go see Anamanaguchi live tomorrow. Happy April Fool's Day, guys. All the best. Dude, you are gonna have the best time. I saw Anamanaguchi live like a month and a half ago, and it was such a blast. You're gonna love it. And certainly let me know how the show went for you and all that jazz. But with that said, we are at the end of episode 7 of the GVG cast. As always, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We love doing this with you every week. And the reason we're able to do that every week is thanks to the generous support of all of our patrons, particularly at the producer tier and above. Thank you so much. But as always, we do have to give an extra special thank you to all of our patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those fine, amazing, incredible, stupendous folks include Brandon Bovia, Cutie Caitlin, Fangs, Dan and Twistle, Z Patty, Hyrule Hermit, Sky Blue Flames, Eastman 23, Adam O'Sullivan, Richard Herrera, Logan Daniel, Christopher Baque, The D-Pad, Vesmio, Waffle King, Birche 373, Critter XD, Kitty Kong Facts, Angel Martinez, Joshua Hunter, Benny Yao, Azran 127, Black King, Pagrima, Geller, Joseph Rutkin, Titus Malvolio, Geeky Griffin, Lucky Wonderfish, Kyle, Top Dog 23100, Young Ben Kenobi, Doug Shomix, Andrew Medeiros, Oram, Becca, Rocks the Cat, Killamox, Eddie B, Kai Ed, Kit Fisto, Kenneth Lee Stingle, Jessica Toad, Deaneth, Sci-Fi Lullabies, Michael McCaw, Matthew Wong, Goron Amber, Straight Lace, Justin Matthews, Hoobie, Too Much Spaghetti, Mega Conrad, Ascaron 809, Ryaner, Captain Finlandia, Nathan Steele, Spicy Pand Otter, The Game Orb, Dano the Artist, Super Gamer Dude 101, Grantles, Ravelox, Synchro Lord, Rosa Pardo Bowling.
Hi, Mom.
Kane Woolley, Skull Kid Tiger, Dark Steel 01, Jason Uloa, Jaden Buck, Phantom Project, Cystic Warrior 29, DJ Jurassic, Super Dank Awesome Unicorn Guy, Dinner Sonic, Darik, Jeff Ed, Nova the Artist, Stag Nasty, Mumbling Yeti, Cameron Sharp, Screamo Shaman, Mason Riley, Keel, Willow Pingree, Santi the Person, Brendan Hesse, Hustlebun, Noah Fitterer, Calvin Atkinson, Ryan's Fault, Brainchild, Pat Pending, Jim Wakelin, Lauren Bond, Sridhar Ayala, Gavin Twaddle, Andy Mine P, Ad, and last but certainly not least, Jughead870. Thank you all so much for your incredibly generous support of everything we do here at GVG. And if you want to find out more about how you can get your own name on this list, check us out over at patreon.com/gvgaming. We offer a wide variety of tiers you can support us at. But that's it for us today. If you enjoyed the show, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. It would mean the world to us. But we are about to go do our patron exclusive post show. Until next week, everybody, good night and good vibes. Bye.
Bye.
Till we meet again.
Bye.